Morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the first Evolution Systems webinar of 2022 on the 22nd of the 2nd, 2022. How about that?
Special day.
I'm Daniel Fleetwood, one of the business development managers here at Evolution Systems, and I'm joined, of course, by Jeff Borland, the owner and managing director of
Morning.
Evolution Systems. Welcome. So before I introduce our two guests, I just wanted to do a quick bit of housekeeping. Obviously, this is being recorded, so it can be viewed at a later date if needed on our YouTube channel and our website. And if you want to ask any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat, and we'll try and get to them at the end. So yeah, look, with the Red Hat portfolio, going from strength to strength, and Ansible really being that glue or the tool that brings it all together through automation, we thought it was the right time to start having conversations with our customers and the broader community around some of the challenges the business are facing day to day. Evolution itself has seen huge growth in our own private cloud. And Jeff, I think you'll say with me that with every customer coming on board, the majority are already using some kind of cloud or application in various different clouds. So we've been assisting our customers with the management of multiple applications across multiple clouds in this hybrid era.
Yeah, I mean, multiple cloud environments are becoming, part of day to day, isn't it? It's the norm now.
Yeah. So for Evolution, it's really about educating our customers first and really helping to identify, what they're trying to achieve, the challenges that they're faced with their applications, and ultimately working with their IT teams to find the best place to run those applications. So today we're going to run through what you can expect using the Red Hat automation platform Ansible. And we'll address some business challenges, the solution that Ansible brings, and the key benefits around that. So let's start by introducing our guests. So we've got Darren Higgins, who is the solution architect, one of the solution architects at Red Hat Tech Data for Red Hat Tech Data. Morning, Darren.
Morning. How are we doing?
Very good. We've worked together for many years, mainly on like IBM Power Systems. You've helped with many configurations.
Very true.
So tell us a bit about your experiences with Red Hat and why you moved into that area.
Really, it was just to sort of an area that we needed something around pre-sale skills. So I have, long before I was even doing Power, long Unix background, basically. So the likes of coming in, and I've sort of worked with and played around with all sorts of different Linuxes over my time. But moving back into officially doing a pre-sales role around Red Hat was something that I really wanted to do. It's something that fitted in with my skills, and happy to do it. And particularly the kind of technologies that we're dealing with Red Hat around OpenShift and also Ansible, something that I really like.
Yeah, amazing. It's definitely an exciting area to be in.
Yes.
And of course, we have Daniel Tagg, the distribution manager for Red Hat in ANZ. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Darren.
Daniel.
Great to be here.
So we've also worked together on many occasions, none more so than your assistance when we purchased our Nutanix clusters that help power the Evolution private cloud.
That is certainly the case, and very proud to be associated with Evolution Systems again, and great to see you following the great examples that Red Hat are putting out into the market. Very proud to be the Red Hat distribution manager for ANZ. I manage all of the distributors and work closely with the Tech Data team, Darren and Sebastian Smithy, the Red Hat BDM, to help bring Red Hat's enterprise-grade open source software solutions to market.
It's great to have you with us, guys.
Amazing.
Thank
you very much. So as we said, today's focus is going to be on Ansible. We've got three main topics to discuss, and we're going to put a nice demo in there as well. So first up, we want to discuss, how Ansible is helping to connect teams and automate silos. Darren, tell us about some of the challenges being faced by IT teams today, and how Ansible is breaking down those cultural silos and helping teams to collaborate more.
Yeah. So I think it's generally recognised that doing automation is a good thing. Everyone wants to do more with less, and IT teams are as stretched as ever. So having automation is something that's recognised as worthwhile. But what we find is that as much as there are many good automation tools out there, they tend to be very domain specific. They work on a particular technology or a particular set of technologies, and they don't really communicate much beyond that. They each have their own skill sets and different ways of operating. There's something that you have to sort of learn for a particular domain, a particular set of vendor products even. Whereas Ansible is very much something that works across the spectrum. It basically works with so many different vendor technologies. It really covers the spectrum of just about anything that you could want to do in terms of IT, and it provides that kind of connective tissue, a way of being able to combine and collaborate between your teams and across domains.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of that technology agnostic, so it doesn't care what you're running. It can bring it all together. And for me, the key benefit, and Jeff or Dan, you can come in here. It's about bringing those teams together, working better together, right? And I've read a couple of the IDC reports, and there's 68% more productivity from the teams when using Ansible, bringing even more efficiencies within those teams. So it's a really important tool to work across, like you say, the broad spectrum of all technologies.
That's right. Being able to provide that space to be able to collaborate, and you actually see customers then start to move up the automation journey to more enterprise-wide automation, really being proactive in what they're automating and how they're doing it, and all of the advantages that come from being able to have all your teams work together, and focus on providing that value to their customers.
With an automation project, it's like anything, Darren, is it, where you'd want to start to look at what your requirements are and build out a scope and possibly start small and then sort of filter that through the organization? Is that how you would see this?
Absolutely. So I guess every customer could be on a different point in their path to automation, but what often we would see is that you want a good starting point. You want an easy, straightforward, immediate kind of advantage, low-hanging fruit, kind of worthwhile automating that provide that immediate benefit, will save people time, and that's generally the point we suggest you start at. Find that low-hanging fruit, that obvious example of something that's going to save you immediate time, and then build out from there. Automation is a journey. It is something that you start with at that first point of, generally one obvious kind of example point to start at, and you move up from there.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of repetitive tasks within an IT department, and I guess it's finding the biggest ticket items and automating them and get them out of the way and just move on through the rest of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, Jeff. And a few things. I mean, like Ansible, look, it's such a powerful but also simple tool as well. It's very powerful. It can automate complex multi-tier application environments. It's got a million use cases, right? And I think we've discussed it. It's probably easy to list what Ansible doesn't do as opposed to what it can do. But the main use cases, around provisioning, configuration management, application deployment. It can be used as part of your CI/CD, continuous delivery. For security and compliance, it's a big one that we're seeing of late, and also, ultimately orchestration, all of the above.
Yeah, I mean, security is obviously is huge, and I think one of the big benefits of having a product like Ansible and getting access to those playbooks is that you can make sure that when you're delivering servers to whether that's an in-house organization or whether that's to a cloud environment, you can make sure that you've got all your security hardening in place and all of those tasks that have to be done before you actually present that server.
Absolutely.
It's having that standard, isn't it? And knowing that you've deployed instances at a certain standard to meet that governance, to meet those security requirements, and having that peace of mind. So, the next kind of topic that leads into nicely is how Ansible is developing enterprise level automation. And as we've discussed, like one of the a big challenge for IT operations teams is managing all the new demands that come from new business, and as IT becomes more complex and those environments become more complex, they still need to work fast, and the business wants things built faster and faster, but to the same quality standards. So, with Ansible, Darren, how is this helping even small to medium-sized business to meet those demands and keep to those standards?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for what I've seen, the kind of key to that is that with the SMEs, perhaps they don't have large numbers of specialist teams. Sometimes, often it just comes down to a few individuals, but they are as stretched as any of us, perhaps more so. There's so much that they need to cover, so many different kind of technologies, and that's where the likes of an automation platform like Ansible really comes into its own, because you don't necessarily need to learn the fine detail of a particular technology. You can simply leverage, for example, playbooks that are already defined for the technologies that you have. It really does allow you to do more with less, and take advantage of what's already been provided out there. But I suppose sort of an extension of that is that particularly with Ansible Automation Platform, with Red Hat, you have certified content collections. So these are basically collections of resources or Ansible that have been checked. They're often actually provided by the vendors of the particular technologies, but Red Hat have looked at those, they've checked them out and given the stamp of approval. So they provide lots of example kind of playbooks, lots of modules that drive particular technologies, and you can leverage those straight away with the assurance that it has been checked and Red Hat will support it.
So that's downloadable out the box, ready to go?
Yes, as part of a Red Hat subscription, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's key. I mean, sorry, Dan, go on.
Yeah, no, look, I'm just saying it's important to have that peace of mind that it's been checked over by many teams, and it's safe to deploy, right? And for me, key benefit, it's being able to deploy services much faster in a more efficient way, but securely and consistently across the board, right?
That's right. Yeah, and Ansible absolutely provides that consistency. Because it works with all these different technologies, you're really looking more at the level of the particular YAML code that you need to run that for, and there are examples of how that runs. It's all straightforward in terms of what it's doing. It's a very readable kind of code, and like I say, there's lots of examples of how you run that. Often you can take an example and just run it up and it'll do exactly the thing you need it to do. Sometimes maybe there's a little bit more adjustment that would be needed, but that's the sort of thing that's available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
And
that
I think
would implement still best practice as well, Darren, right? Because they've had lots of different eyes on these playbooks.
That's right. Yeah. So big advantage of the fact that you have so many different eyes looking at them, and because the code is open, it's all there for everyone to see what it's doing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we talked about being able to deploy services faster and more efficiently. That's leading to teams being able to develop their applications more and more each year. So with that, Darren, do you have a little demo for us to show just how easy it can be for those teams to deploy?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so let me just rearrange my screens here a bit. So I guess I just thought I might run through some of the key elements that make up automation on Ansible Automation Platform. So just sort of starting at the base here. So what we're looking at here, this is in fact some YAML code that runs a particular job. And I don't want to scare anyone off with this, but I just wanted to show that this is the base of what you're running. This is when we talk about infrastructure as code. This is what you'd be actually running, at least as far as Ansible goes. What we have here is a playbook, and within the playbook, you have a number of plays. Within each play, this example actually has one play, but within each play there are a number of tasks. And you can see we've sort of divided this up. There's 5 tasks we've got in here. This example, what it's doing is simply, it's a simple example of building a website with some customized content on it. So as part of doing that, so our target endpoint, the server that we're actually looking to run this up on, is just a standard RHEL 8 system. And what we'd first off do on that system is check that we have HTTPD installed. And so, yeah, so that's the first thing we do here. So we actually run this module called Yum. And just perhaps to maybe explain a module a little bit, a module runs a particular task on a particular type of endpoint. And in this case, those who are familiar with Linux would be familiar with Yum. So this is a module written for Yum. And what that will do is check if we have the HTTPD package on here, and check that it's the latest one. If it's not there, it'll go and install that. If it does find that it's there, it won't do anything further, actually. It'll just run through it and say, yeah, that's okay, and move on to the next task. Likewise, the next one along here is, again, a Yum, a call to the Yum module, checking for Git. We want to pull our specialized, our custom content from a GitHub repository. So first thing to do is check that that's actually there and installed and running. So that's that step there. The next task along is to actually go and get our custom content. In this case, it's just a simple index.html file, which it's pulling from this repository over on GitHub, and it's going to install it in the standard place that HTTPD will expect it to be. And then we check and set the permissions for that file correctly so that it's readable, and then just check that the HTTPD is actually running and start it up if not. And yeah, that's the kind of the essence of what that would do. So we can then take that playbook, and if I just jump into the automation controller here, just log in on my ID. The next thing we would do with that is package that playbook into a job template. So just within the automation controller here, this is the job template that we have defined for that. So if I just bring that up, so there's a few key things that we have in the job template. Obviously, first off is the playbook itself. So this is the playbook that we were just looking at. It's actually pulled that from our GitHub repository via this project that's defined. So pretty much every time that this runs, this job template, it goes and actually checks the project, which goes and pulls this from the repository that we've set up to make sure that it has the latest code. Along with that, what we need to know is what we want to run on and the credentials we need to get into that. So what we're looking at here, so under inventory, we have an inventory defined. This is a number of servers, and we've defined that. And within that list will be the one server that we want to target for actually running this web build on. And yeah, down here are our credentials. So in this case, we're accessing via SSH. So we have an SSH key set up here. Now, I'll just note a couple of things with this. I'm actually set up here in this example as an operator, which means that, you can actually see it over here. So we talked about different teams. I am a member of this particular operator team, which gives me permission to execute and also read this job template, but I can't do anything else to it. And more importantly, I can't see, excuse me, just back in here. I can't see this particular SSH key. I can't use it for anything else. But it is there for me to purely execute this task. So as an operator, I've got complete assurance that I can't screw this up. It's up to those who created the playbook that they got that right and provided it to me to run as an operator. So that's a bit of a sense of how you can have different teams collaborating.
Yeah.
And so I guess with that, those are kind of some of the key elements of the job template. If we actually then launch that, and we've got a little survey here, so we can we have a target host out of our list of inventory, and this is actually a predefined value that I've got here. You can actually change this if you need to, just on the launch, but that is the one we want. So click next, and just check your details once more, and then launch that. So this will now, with any luck, actually run through those tasks we saw in the playbook. And it just takes maybe a minute or so to set that up. Yeah, as that runs, yeah, here we go. In fact, the first thing that it's doing here is a thing called gathering facts. So this is really just gathering information from our target endpoint. In this particular example, it's not really using any of that, but more advanced playbooks, more advanced Ansible roles will take some of those facts and use that to perhaps conditionally respond to what needs to be done. So like we saw in the playbook, next thing along after that, checking the package, the HTTP. Turns out that it's already there, and that's why it's come back okay in green. Likewise with Git, it's gone and checked that. That's come back okay as well. The next one along is getting the latest index.html. Now it's actually gone and found that that was either not up to date or needed to be reinstalled. So it's actually gone and grabbed that, and it's come back changed again on our target. Setting the permissions of that index.html, and then making sure that HTTPD is started, which did come back okay, so it was already operating there. So that's just a few. It's run through all of those steps, and we should have our website available now. And in fact, that there is what it looks like.
So, Darren, just two things for me as you're going through that is one is that took 30 seconds or so to execute. So you can see straight away, yes, that was a relatively simple playbook. However, you can see the efficiency that you can gain from automating that sort of task. And also the comment you made about being an operator and you don't have access to modify anything, you just run it. That in a traditional IT department where you've got, generally you can have senior people doing tasks that they don't need to be doing, and that could be utilized now to write these playbooks, and then the execution of those could be handled by level 1 engineers or operators.
That's exactly the whole point. And as an operator, that's simple to run. I can't screw it up. Like I said, those who write the content, that could be a developer or at least a specialist on the particular device that you're writing that for. They will develop this. They will test it. They can test it on their own environments, make sure it's all good, and then pass that down to us in production as an operator. And we simply then use that. As a further example, which I'm not going to run, this is actually an older example, but what I will show you is this is just the output, very similar to what we just saw with our playbook run just before. This is a security hardening example. So this is the log for that. This really just runs through a whole lot of different parameters as defined for a sys security definition with customization according to what you actually need. But what it does is it checks a whole lot of different parameters on our server, and if they're out of compliance, it goes and corrects them. So you can actually see some of what it's doing here. Some of just going through user accounts. What's a good example? There's a whole lot of stuff in here. This playbook run actually goes to just over 1,000 lines, I think. So this is an Ansible role that it's running. So you can think of that as a beefed up playbook. There's actually a directory structure defined for roles. You separate out your different plays and your different variables and such into a full directory structure, just to provide a way of having larger playbooks, but keeping things organized. So with this, you can see some of the services that it's checking off. A lot of this is coming back okay because it's already in compliance, nothing really to do for it there. Further down this list, I think it did find a few things. So here's an example of something that it changed. Ensure mounting of CRAMFS file system is disabled. So that's something that, according to our SIS definitions, is something that should not be running. It's found that and it's turned it off.
Mm.
So, and that runs through, like I say, a whole lot of different stuff there. So that's a security example.
Yeah.
You could picture this as something that you would run as part of a regular security audit. You don't have to actually have it changing things. It could simply be reporting. Or if you want to be more definite about it, have it actually bring things into compliance. So that's sort of a bit of a security example around that one.
I'm sure there are many organizations that have a checklist where they manually run through on a regular basis to check all this stuff off. So
that's right.
Yeah, another great example of how that can be automated, and again, probably runs that in seconds.
Exactly. This one actually, in fact, I didn't run it because it does take about 10 minutes. So don't be too optimistic about it. But obviously, if you think about that, it's something that you define, you set it, you make sure that it's correct, then you just run it and run it on a schedule and go away and do its thing.
And Jeff, you touched on it before. This can be kicked off by perhaps a junior level engineer, not necessarily your senior level engineers, right? And that can be both efficient and cost saving for your company.
Yes, exactly.
Or indeed just schedule.
Scheduled to run, exactly.
It can be scheduled as well, absolutely. Automated.
That was a great demo in the short space of time that we have on that. I mean, there's a lot to it.
Can I show you just one more thing, Daniel?
You got one more for me?
Just one more. Workflows. So this here this is actually built up from different job templates.
Yeah.
And this is something that takes the job templates and runs a much larger construction out of that. Something that has multiple steps in it. Each of these job templates could be owned and the responsibility of different teams. For example, as an operator, I might be running this, but we have a provisioning architect providing us with the initial setup of the server and the web build, the security team providing us with the hardening for that. Now, I'm just executing and running this, but different teams are responsible for different parts of this, and I am collaborating with them essentially and running this on their behalf to build something that's fully customized and compliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
Yeah, so I think I'll stop there.
I mean, we could go on for a while, but we won't.
Yes.
That's what we can highlight, though. Darren is available, and today is meant to be a bit of a high-level chat, but Darren is available, and the team is available. To step you through. There is a center of excellence that is set up that Darren is able to step you and your customers through.
That is through use cases. That demo just now was running on our center of excellence, so that's something that we can make available through Evolution.
Amazing. Look, what that demo has briefly shown leads nicely into our final topic, is the breadth of the capabilities of Ansible. So for me, just seeing what I've seen there and what Ansible is capable of, and obviously the support that the Red Hat ecosystem brings, it really gives IT managers and heads of infrastructure that peace of mind that all these components that make up the customer's core infrastructure is built to a standard set across the board, right? And it's secure. And like you say, it can be built and tested by senior level people and handed down to be provisioned when needed by operators, so the seniors can continue to do development or testing or whatnot. So I think it's really important, and it's with those playbooks and supported by the Red Hat portfolio that we see in front of us now, it's really important. And
Yeah,
it's a real
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in terms of those endpoints, you can see all of those kind of operations, your orchestration, managing configurations, doing deployments, CI/CD, DevOps stuff, and security and compliance. That's all the sort of thing that you can do across all the likes of standard servers like we did, but could also be cloud-based. It could be standard traditional storage, but also networking devices of all kinds of variants, firewalls, load balancers, could be on a container environment, like it says there, and more. There's actually quite interesting, very obscure examples that some people have set up, but I won't get into that.
Yeah.
That graph really does show it. And when you go back to your workflow example, Darren, where you mentioned, potentially different teams being involved in the execution or deployment of, let's just say, a server. You are going to have people involved who require networking, storage, the actual server itself, deploying applications on there, hardening the device. There's so much that can go into deploying an environment that to have that written and by your senior technicians and then executed by other people in the organization. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
And you've got certainty that it's all correct. That's the other thing as well.
That's right. Run it, test it up, test it once. Once you're happy that it works the way it should, you can deploy it and forget about it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So as a key benefit for me there obviously is a strong Red Hat portfolio supported by Red Hat, and with the YAML structured playbooks, it's tried and tested. Daniel, with the tell us a bit about the fully licensed supported versions and that kind of the access to the certified content collections and how important that is.
Absolutely. So look, with Red Hat, with the Red Hat Ansible automation platform, which is the offering that we've been working, with today. Ultimately, look, you get the backing of Red Hat for the technical support. All customers will have access to phone and online support, as well as the documentation, knowledge base, and tools needed to help keep the systems running and solve problems quickly. Also, you get access to security resources. Okay, Red Hat solutions are tested and hardened to make sure that they're as secure as possible. They're also backed by a dedicated product security team that we have at Red Hat that monitors and identifies and also addresses risks that affect our products. Red Hat also provides supported Ansible playbooks to remediate security vulnerabilities and promote compliance with industry standard and also custom security baselines. And I think Darren touched on it before. There's a certified collection that you can be assured that if it's been written, it's been tested and tried and certified, and that it will work in your environment. Red Hat partners with a lot of thousands of software, hardware, and cloud vendors. And our ecosystem is certified, so you can deploy knowing that your technology in your environment and your combination environments will work with Red Hat and the Red Hat Ansible automation platform as well. So they're just a couple of points where the benefits of a Red Hat subscription and the Red Hat Ansible automation platform kind of kick in. We very much encourage you to explore your options here, because today's not meant to be a bit of a deep dive. It's more just meant to be a thought process, or I guess a thought session where you need to look at what tasks are being automated, are being repeated in your organization, and what can basically be automated out of that. We have a dedicated ROI tool as well, return on investment, that is dedicated to helping you understand how much you can actually save potentially if you were to implement Ansible as well. Darren and the team are well versed on that, and it's something that we invite partners to look at. Not only is there the chance to step through use cases in Tech Data Center of Excellence that's been set up for this, but we can actually help you to scope the potential cost savings as well through that tool.
It's hearing you talk there about efficiencies. There's a comment in our ebook, which is available on Ansible, from an IBM study, which reports that where security automation has been fully deployed, it can reduce the cost of a data breach by 95%. I mean, that's enormous.
Absolutely. And I mean, starting small, going big. I mean, Ansible can help partners to save, tens of thousands of dollars on smaller tasks. If it's a much larger organization, we've got use cases and case studies out there showing that millions of dollars can be saved through, deploying the Red Hat Ansible automation platform and driving the automation through that manner. So it's worthwhile looking. I guess the call out today and the final thought from my side is if you're repeating tasks at all in your environments, if you've got senior IT staff, potentially running things that junior IT staff could be, let's have a look at this. Let's get you to reach out to Evolution Systems, we can run through some use cases, some demos, proof of concept, some things for you as well, and have a look into that ROI calculator to make sure that we can determine the scope of your cost savings.
Yeah, that's really good. So let's bring this to a close. I'm conscious of time, but look, from this webinar, we've briefly shown the power of Ansible and how it can help IT teams, automate just about everything, from the infrastructure, cloud, networking services, and ensuring that security standards required by the business have been considered and appropriately enabled. Red Hat and Ansible is an area of Evolution really wants to focus on this year. So, what we're saying is if you want to simplify your IT operations to meet the demands of your growing business and make sure it's secure, reach out to us. Let's start a conversation. And with the assistance of, Evolution and Tech Data's Center of Excellence with our private cloud, we can easily put together a proof of concept and address some of the biggest issues being faced right now by your IT teams and future-proof your solution and your hybrid cloud strategies. So with that, I thank you for joining us today. Those that registered will be receiving our ebook, which is on the screen at the moment, and it's also available on our website at our Learning Hub. So yeah, feel free to go and download that and reach out. Let's start a conversation. Anything else, Jeff, before we leave?
Look, I think we could talk probably for another hour on this topic without going into any more detail. We're already over time, but guys, I'd just like to thank you for your time today. It's been really good, very insightful, and I think there's a lot more that we could delve into this going forward.
Definitely.
Really appreciate your time, guys, and thank you for everyone for joining in.